What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on the channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by two things. Since we don't do any sponsorships here on the channel, I'll go ahead and show them out real quick. The first is my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound, and the second is a new podcast I just launched called Chasing Infinity. It is myself and ChatGPT as my AI co-host, and we dive into a wide range of topics in short-form videos just like these. So check it out. Links in the description below, and I appreciate the support. All right, guys, I want to share something with you about the Splinterlands market that was actually fascinating to me. I had never really looked at it through this lens. In fact, I'd never really looked at market data too much, not from the aggregate level, but in filtering here on Peak Monsters. So shout out to Peak Monsters, filtering out for the last 6 months, which I'm recording this at the end of October, so this takes us all the way back to April, which is when we had a lot of the changes, right? I think we had the ranked reward changes that came out in March, and then the reward. The rank changes that came out in March, and then the reward system update that came out in April. And then obviously, the wild pass and all this other stuff, and you'll see that in the data that we'll cover. But what was fascinating to me, and what I actually am hoping to get a little bit of insight from you guys on, is the stability of this market. Despite all of the craziness that's happened over this past year, and all this talk about, oh, people are leaving the game and bots are signing off, and despite all of that, I want you to look at something here. This looks so consistent. I mean, yes, there's some peaks that are higher than others, but if we look at this from a volume perspective, like in USD, maybe you could make an argument that there's like a slight trend downwards and down to the right. But for the most part, I mean, even still, you can see, August 16th here is when the Soulbound reward cards finally went live, that we had like a resurgence of activity. And then following that, we've had the promo card sale that's been going on. And then if you look at it from the card perspective as well, I mean, actually, even the cards more so. Check this out. Obviously, once the Soulbound reward cards went live, this is individual cards, right? Now we're filtering back down. But I'm actually genuinely shocked at how consistent the market has been. And here's something that I want to show you guys. So for broader context, here we are with all the battles that were happening in the game, right? And this goes up until like mid-January so, when all of a sudden the wild passed, and then everything just completely tanked. You can even see that there were a ton of transactions in that same kind of time frame that completely fell flat after the wild pass went live, right? So sometime here in June, and then everything's just been flat since then. But even with that, even looking at the amount of battles being played, looking at the amount of transactions that were happening, and I don't know if transactions is like market transactions. I'm assuming this is just like transactions on chain is my guess. Despite all of that, you still see this stability in the marketplace. So this leads me to an interesting conclusion, which I don't know, it's a hypothesis, right? Even with all the bot activity that was happening and how good that they could potentially be for the marketplace, right? They were renting cards and essentially propping up the market. That volume, that's the thing, from the volume and from a card perspective, you just don't see it. You get what I'm saying? So my point with this is that at the end of the day, what's driving the market still is humans. Now, I don't fundamentally believe that because I've heard too many arguments against it. I'm just looking at the data here, and it's not showing that, right? So when bots are coming in and they're renting cards, like there should be way more cards being rented. There should be way more volume overall. Now, granted, bots are going to min-max, right? So from a volume perspective, I could understand, right, if the volume stays somewhat steady, which again, we see that. But from the cards, there's not much. Now maybe this is only purchases. I guess this might only be purchases. So that's what it is at the end of the day. Bots were good for the rental market, but even still, when you look at like what's happening in the marketplace overall, it's just fascinating to me that despite all of the economic activity, everything that was happening, we've actually been steady for the last 6 months. And in the last 6 months, I would say that you've seen a massive amount of capitulation from a lot of players who said, I'm done with it. I'm not looking at the game anymore. They changed the rank system. They changed this, blah, blah, blah. There's a wild pass. So despite that, the market remains somewhat steady. Now, I know I'm going to get some of the bears out there who are like, well, it's all just being driven by whales and it's all being driven by whoever. I mean, the point at the end of the day is that people are buying, right? People are buying. There's buyers for all the sellers out there. You're seeing that in the volume. It's been consistent. And if you go and take a look, and this will be what we can close out with this. I didn't have this prepared, but let's go and check the set value. We've talked about Rebellion already, right? I mean, Rebellion's starting to trend back upwards, and this started back in August. I haven't checked Chaos Legion, but let's check Chaos Legion as well and see where that's going. Well, okay, this hasn't trended back upwards per se, but it's not necessarily tanking the way that it was. Now, granted, it's already done the tanking, so I get it, right? It's down like 90-something%. But you know, Rebellion at the end of the day, Rebellion at the end of the day has shown a little bit more resilience with all that. So even for the people leaving that are choosing to sell, whether it's bots, whether it's players, you have folks that are coming in and bringing that volume. So I just, like I said, I just thought it was fascinating because I was looking at these numbers and I was looking at everything on the 6-month timeline. And I was like, why does this look so flat? It's kind of crazy. So again, I don't believe this. And maybe, like I said, this is only looking at purchase cards rather than, I guess we can't look at rental volume. I'm sure that's majorly different, but I don't know from a US dollar perspective how much that was. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Again, this is more so just out of curiosity. I'm not going to live and die by any conclusions that were made or any hypotheses that were made here. It's just fascinating to me looking at the market compared to all the other stats that, you know, took an absolute tanking once the major changes were made back in, you know, April to June timeframe. But that's all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game.